Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I hope you're doing well. I want to talk about Europe, the EU, all of the region, because it is literally falling apart at the seams. You know that I have said before, and I will say it again, that I believe that we will see the Eurozone collapse and the US economy will literally have between 8 to 12 weeks before we see that reverberation here over on our country. Now, I had to fly all the way over to interview this gentleman right here to my left, Neil McCoy Ward, because I didn't think there was anybody better to speak about the actual state of the union when we're talking about the European Union right now. Neil, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Awesome. Well, it's good to see you.
Yeah.
And I've watched your videos before, and I know that you obviously you live on the Isle of Man, but you actually used to work in Britain. You grew up in Great Britain, correct?
Yeah.
What's it like right now compared to what it was when you were a child?
Well, easy. It was Great Britain when I was growing up. And, it's changed a lot. The demographics and everything's changing very, very heavily at the moment throughout Europe.
Yeah. I want to dive into finance, but yeah, you bring up demographics. There are a lot of people flooding in from all over the world into Europe. What is that doing to impact society?
So there's a lot of things. Okay, we could break this down into loads of different areas, but you think of, say, pensions.
Yep.
Because we were talking offline about pensions and things like that. And one of the things that I'm seeing at the moment, and one of the main questions I'm getting all the time from all of my subscribers and everybody else, is around their pension.
Yeah.
Everyone's really scared about their pension, and rightly so. You've got, I guess, kind of three kinds of people at the moment. You've got those who are just head in the sand, they're blind, and they'll never wake up, and they think their pension is perfectly fine, and they're happy for the same company they work for to manage their pension. And I just think, okay, wow, that they're willing to allow that, because I've seen it over and over again, all the case studies where people just lose their pension because something happens with a company, and then there's fraud, and then it's meant to be secure, and then there's a lot of stuff. Now, the other thing that's happening, and what you asked me about all the people flooding in, there's something going on there, and it's very calculated. But it's not exactly what people think. There's a lot of different theories around it. But you think about AI, you think about robotics, you think about automation.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's link this into demographics. Let's link this into pensions. What are we seeing? We're seeing the workforce, so they are Europeans. Like you've just been, you were just over in France, right?
No, we went to London.
Okay. Yeah. So you were over in London. So, but you're also in Ireland, right? Okay. So you'll notice the demographics and a lot of things changing.
Yeah.
And what we used to have people that were workers, right? And then you would pay, and then you become consumers.
Yep.
So workers, consuming, and it's cyclical. And then you would have pensions, and you would have all these other things.
Yeah.
And what was it? It was a bottom-heavy, top-light system.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I shouldn't have done that on there. Someone's going to screenshot that. This is going to be, someone's going to do some Illuminati thing.
All the times I'm like, are you okay? And people are like, I get that.
So what we've got is this bottom-heavy system, which is now inverted.
Yep.
And that's why I say that the pensions are not going to be there in the future.
Totally.
Because there isn't the workers. And the other thing is AI, robotics, they don't need a salary. They don't need restroom breaks. I'm using American language here for you guys. They don't need all this. They don't need these things. Yeah. So you're going to end up with just this very top-heavy people relying on these pensions. Yeah. Look what's happening with the pensions. The Bank of England had to bail out the UK pension systems last year. The entire system, if they didn't do that, would have collapsed.
Yeah, we had something similar like that happen in America with large corporations. Yeah, teacher pensions and things like that.
Yeah.
So we know that we're top heavy now. There's more people retiring than workers filling the gap. Is it like the same in America, where you're having a hard time filling roles like people working at restaurants and I don't want to say lower end, but really it's the backbone of the economy. People that work at convenience stores, things like that. Are they having a hard time finding employees still?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Where's the money coming from?
But this is why I think that there are a lot of, like you look at the migration policies, right? You got a lot of what is classed as illegal, right? Migration coming in, and it's not really being stopped. And now the EU has just passed, they've just stopped the UK from sending people right back through Europe and stuff. Like the whole thing is with the corridor that if you are seeking asylum, you're supposed to stop at the first country. It's the first safe country. But what happens is, but no one says this. You don't hear it because it's not politically correct to say it. But what's supposed to happen is they're meant to claim asylum in that first safe zone.
Okay.
But a lot of the guys, and it's mainly, see the news as well. It says it's it's women and children. It's insensitive to be says, but
No,
it's not.
It's not.
And I don't
Fighting against men.
I have the abuse I get about this is in the comments and stuff. But a fact is a fact. It is men coming in, and I think, see, there's a lot of things going on with all of this, right? And this links in with crime as well.
Yeah.
So the crime rates are completely, again, people get upset. My videos get taken down when I say this.
Oh yeah,
so hopefully
in our country too.
Hopefully this won't get taken down. But if you overlap those graphs, they're perfectly correlated.
Yep.
And then so people, right, this is what happens. People say, well, you can't just blame da-da-da-da-da. And they say, right, how can I put this politely? Okay. Aidan, by the way, you might want to close that window. It's making a lot of noise.
Oh yeah, we're not even going to cut that out.
What?
we don't have editing.
We're not
going
to
to
cut this?
No cutting. We're going for it.
Okay, that's really noisy.
I know, it's really
distracting
windy.
me
It's really
as well.
windy here.
Okay,
That's all of a sudden we started the video and all of a sudden my throat got super dry, so I'm like sweating and stuff.
Oh man.
But no, let's talk about, so demographics. Everyone gets upset about that.
Hold on. Yeah. We got to finish that point.
Yeah.
So the point on crime is, and a lot of the people coming in, now there's a lot more crime going on. That doesn't exist in those countries. That same level of crime.
Okay.
Why?
Because they have more respect for their country?
No.
Why would you say?
It's the same reason. What are you seeing in? You live in California, right?
Yeah. Oh.
Okay.
I think.
What do you see? Yeah. You know where I'm going.
Yeah. When you know you're allowed to get away with a certain amount, yeah, you're going to do it. But if Daddy's going to spank or smack, then you back off.
Yeah. Right. So what's happening in Europe is, like you know about my van, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
horrible.
So the viewers don't know. So I was robbed. Okay. And the police did nothing. So I started looking into, whoa, that's strange. Why would the rate of prosecution be 86% on something you say verbally to someone?
Yeah.
What's known as now a hate crime or a hate incident.
Yeah.
Why would that be 86%? And if someone is convicted of that, in 79% of those cases, the judge gives a harsher sentence.
Yeah.
But someone doing a carjacking or stealing someone's vehicles has a 2% prosecution rate and a 25% conviction rate. That means 0.5%. And it ranges from a caution, which in the UK that means
don't do it again,
all the way through to small fines. I think there's no disincentive from these things happening, and because there's no disincentive, what we're now seeing is this massive explosion in crime. So it is correlated, but there's a reason for it. It's
tough because you're right. It's hard to, and you got to sort of skirt around it, or you can't get any message out, because today in this day and age, we're being censored like you wouldn't believe. And it's very hard to deal with that because there are a lot of people that don't want you to know how serious this is. And it's serious because they're not taking it serious. For a reason, they're causing disruption. So let me ask you about finance. So you talk a lot about finance on your channel. Let's talk about the state of finance in the Eurozone, in Europe, because I believe they are collapsing ahead of us. It's interesting watching them, they're raising, it was ahead of us. They're lowering, I believe, of rates will be ahead of us.
Yeah, but I'm not. You've got to look differently at it. What is the source of all economies? It was labor, but now it's going to be, as we go into the future, it's going to be AI, robotics, etc., etc.
True.
Right, and that's why they're replacing a lot of the workforce. That's another reason for it. But it's not just about those things. You've got to look at the source. And the source of everything is energy.
True.
So even before we've done this, we've had something to eat. That is energy for a human being.
Yeah.
Maybe you just scale that. You think of an economy and it needs energy. Why, everyone's talking about Bidenomics at the minute and, oh, wow, it's so great. No, the last year,
Wait,
the
who
oil...
said that?
No, you watch it on the news.
Oh, the new. Oh,
You
copy.
watch it on
Oh,
the news.
yes.
They
think it's
talk about,
great. Yeah.
they're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
And that's just Goebbels, right? Who
Well,
was
we
Joseph
also know the
Goebbels.
White House was infiltrating social media sites and forcing them to do certain things. So yes, that makes sense.
But
Okay.
you keep repeating the same thing over
Yeah.
and over again. It only takes 7 times before someone believes something that is
Because
crazy.
faith
not
comes
true.
by hearing, not by seeing. Yeah,
Right,
totally
right.
agree.
So you've got all these things going on, and oh wow, the economy's strong and everything else. No, it's not strong.
Yeah.
The oil price was high.
Yeah.
It's come down heavily.
Yes.
And what goes into inflation is the energy input. People are just focused on the oil price, but they're focusing on the wrong thing. It's the energy input drives a whole country and its economy.
Yeah.
You look at what's happening in Germany. I made a video talking about how these, people that are just going crazy about climate stuff, and they say, oh, Germany, they're leading the way. They're closing down their nuclear reactors. They're leading the way in climate change. And I'm like, are these people stupid?
Yeah, they are.
You look at the CO2 emissions of a nuclear reactor, wind and solar, it's less than both of those, and people going, yes, and I'm going, they've lost it, they've gone crazy.
Okay, let's dive into Germany because I believe that so many people are so lost because most people don't know that Germany was in a massive recession in 2005. They're the reason that reverberation landed into the MBS fiasco in the United States. And then ironically, by 2011, 2012, or whenever Greece started, Germany's running around like they know everything. They're the strongest in the EU, but they were, ironically, because they had rebuilt out of a recession, right? They actually triggered something. So Germany does a lot of dumb things, like when they didn't want to sign off on Nord Stream 2. Let's talk about that.
You just used the keyword.
Oh, I don't, and at a certain
Yeah.
point we just don't care because we've
Yeah,
got to
yeah.
try and share the truth. But yeah, they sit there and they go, oh, this would be a great idea. We get most of our energy from Russia. Let's just not sign off on the pipeline. Russia goes, well, let's see how this works out for you. And we're starting to see natural gas explode in price prior to colder weather.
Wow.
So let's talk about that.
You think about Niger as well,
Oh, yeah.
in Central Africa. Well, what was about to happen? A new pipe? No, I haven't seen anyone talk about this yet. Maybe someone has, but they were just about to launch a new pipeline
Yep.
from the south. It went through, and it went right the way through to, I think it's Morocco or somewhere like that. And that was natural gas.
Yep.
That was going to go into Europe
Yep.
to bring down natural gas prices. That pipeline's not going through that country right now.
Well, and I remember Niger was working with the Russians to some kind of agreement with either armament or some kind of training, But we're starting to see Russia doing that. Yeah,
It's the Wagner group that's in there.
it's crazy that Europe doesn't see the writing on the wall that they are actually not independent when it comes to energy.
Yeah.
Finance is falling apart, and you may want to touch on that with the euro. The Brexit. I mean, there's still signs for Brexit when I was in London.
Well, you got to think the euro is part of a 50-year plan.
Yep.
It was to bring, the mark and the franc and all these other currencies into this one currency, the euro.
Yeah.
What have you got over in the US? You've got the dollar, $1.
right.
You've got the Canadian dollar. Okay, so what we're seeing is this convergence of currencies.
Yep.
And what we're going towards eventually will just be one currency.
Yep.
So what we're going to see then is these CBDCs, which I think you and I have been talking about them for
A long time.
years
Yeah.
and years, even when everyone thought we were crazy for talking about these things.
Yeah.
But the writing was on the wall. So we're going to move to these CBDCs, and I think Nigeria is the test case as to what happened there.
Really, Nigeria.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because they launched their currency. And what they did, the government did, was at the same time, they said, oh, all this cash, these banknotes,
Yeah.
these are no good now. We need to issue new banknotes. Ah, that's convenient at the exact same time. And guess what? There was this many banknotes previously. Oh, we can only put this much out.
Yeah.
So people were forced, they had to give these old notes. As soon as they went into the bank, they never come out again. They get shredded.
You're right.
So then you got this small parliament. There wasn't enough currency. So they forced them onto the CBDC.
You're right. Another thing that was interesting, or people just don't understand the writing on the wall. Remember when was it Great Britain that changed the notes into that poly material?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was last September 30th. They said if you don't have them turned in, they're worthless. And I did a video 30 days prior. Afterwards, on my video, I would see people chime in on the comment section and go, he wasn't joking. We tried to turn some in and they're worthless now. And it was interesting that they went to like a polymer note.
That's actually a bit of a scam.
Yeah.
So you can always take in an old banknote
Okay.
to either, so it goes in levels. So you
Gotcha.
can take it in to a bank.
Okay.
And they will have to, they won't give you a new banknote.
Okay.
They'll put a deposit on your account.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is where this is legal.
decreasing the paper money supply. M2.
Right.
Holy cow.
But yeah, so you've got that. But if you've got one that's say 50 years old,
Yeah.
then you have to take that one to the Bank of England and stuff. You have to post it in, and that's how it works. So you can. So it's a bit of a scam. They say, oh, it's no good. You can't. You can. It's just you can't use it in circulation.
Yeah.
You can't go into a store. But did you notice when you were in London, you can't spend cash anywhere?
No, you're absolutely correct. In America, it's becoming more and more of a thing. Yeah, it's still it's just highly discouraged, things like that. It's just.
Yeah.
But what really blows me away is that Americans don't understand that inflation just gets worse because of the fees with credit cards, with debit cards, and all of that kind of stuff. It just blows me away.
Yeah, well, well, that's the other thing. People don't understand inflation in general.
Yeah.
I was watching I watch the media so I can talk about how they lie.
Yeah.
But other people watch it and they say, oh, this is good. But they were doing these interviews on the street and they lead them, the people. They find the most NPC person they can find and they say, excuse me, sir, inflation coming down. We just want to talk about this great news of inflation coming down. And, in price and things. Could you tell us about inflation, what your thoughts are? And they say, it's great that inflation's coming down. It's like,
They repeat them.
You've just told him what to say. But then they say, and this is where it gets funny, they say, it's so great that prices are coming down now, I'll be able to afford more. And I'm going, no, inflation's coming down. That means prices are still increasing. But people don't understand that. And they don't understand that inflation is the expansion of the currency supply, the monetary supply.
Yeah.
Which is done at the central bank. I mean, there's other bits to it which we
Yeah, price inflation due to demand.
Yeah, there's
Supply
other
demand.
things, but the bulk of what we've seen was due to increasing supply.
Yeah.
And that's why we saw liquidity go crazy. That's why we saw asset prices go crazy. Yeah. And what are we seeing now? We're seeing a reversal of that.
Yeah.
So we're seeing liquidity dry up. We've got a commercial real estate apocalypse on the way.
Oh yeah.
Which go
And
ahead.
it's only on the way because the masses haven't seen it. You and I see it. We see the empty structures. You're a real estate investor. I know you're picking up properties right now. There's some deals to be had. But there's also places in Europe on this side of the world where we don't want to talk about it because there's places that are going to actually hold value because of safe havens, let's say.
Yeah.
So it's hard to sit there and tell people it's crashing right now when we know it's crashing because the effects just haven't been felt by the masses.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest problem, I guess, in closing in this, would you see as what is going to cause the demise of the Eurozone? Because I believe it's going to split up.
I think it's already on the way.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it will be the energy.
Yeah.
They haven't gone the energy.
You're right. And they're hyperinflating in energy prices.
Yeah, well, here's the main problem. They've destroyed all this stuff as part of this, towards 2030 stuff. We won't go too deep into all that. But they're destroying all their energy. They're destroying their nuclear reactors.
Yep.
Now, France gets a lot of their energy from nuclear.
Okay.
Now, this is where they don't talk about on the news.
Yeah.
So you've heard all about Niger and what's going on there.
Yep.
What people don't talk about is that the majority of the uranium that France uses comes from there. It's mined there. The oil that they have comes from there. The gold they get comes from there. And the phosphate, they're the biggest in the world, that also comes from there. So, and here's the other interesting thing with the African nations. Africa's been pillaged by the West for a long time. And when the African leaders even try and talk out about it, they're gone.
Yeah.
And you see this all the time. And then
We saw it with Gaddafi.
Yeah.
We saw it with Gaddafi. We saw it with Saddam Hussein.
Even Libya, it was one of the most those people loved him.
They did.
And the media makes out as if he was a monster. See,
But they never saw him talking at the UN.
No, that was a good speech.
Oh, it was
That
amazing.
was a good speech.
Yeah.
But they had free healthcare, free education, free because they had so much oil money.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a lot going on. But even they use there's about 14, I believe, African countries that still use this type of franc. But that even
Really?
Yeah, but even France doesn't use the franc. They use the euro. So who prints that as well?
Yeah.
France at their central bank, and then they charge massive fees as well.
Wow.
So that currency is pretty much what you can't trade in it. It's worthless outside of Africa.
But technically, France has been exporting a little bit of inflation that way.
Yeah, well,
And they've been cozying up to China lately because of the BRICS. So they must be seeing the writing on the wall and going, our energy is coming from down there. They want to be part of the BRICS, so why wouldn't France sort of want to align at least? Do you think that France is going to be the first country to officially apply?
it looks that way because Macron keeps meeting with these people, and it's strange. I mean, Macron. I'm not a fan. Let's just say.
Who is a fan?
Let's just
other
say
than
that.
the BBC?
Well, you know what they did over the pension in reforms in France.
Oh yeah, they keep extending.
Do you know those riots have been going on? Burning of Paris have been going on for months.
Yeah, and he was in
Months.
China while some of the most intense protesting was going on.
No, the night everything was burning down.
Yeah.
He was at a conference with Elton John.
Oh, jeez. Oh.
You didn't know? Yeah, people don't know this stuff, but
Wow.
it's
I
wild.
got a funny story about that afterwards, I'll tell you.
About Elton John?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a
Right,
funny
yeah,
story, I'll
well,
tell you.
okay.
Yeah. Somebody else probably knows this story and they're watching this right now going,
Yeah. Okay.
So I want to thank you for coming on. I know we're going to do another video or two, but I wanted to get your perspective of what's going on in here because when I flew over and I called you and told you I was coming over, he honestly said, where are you going to stay? I told him the different places I was going to stay. He goes, you're not going to like it. It's not what it used to be. And it's just a shell of what it used to be.
Well, I remember as a kid, I would go to different European cities.
Yeah.
Beautiful, absolutely breathtaking. And each place was unique. You go to Germany,
Yeah.
and it's like very German. You go to the main cities, very German. It's like I had this amazing experience.
Yeah.
You go to France, you go to Paris, you go to some of the main cities, French.
Yeah.
But it's not like that anymore. You go to anywhere in Europe, a major city, including the English cities and Ireland and other places, and it's not like that anymore. It's just one big multicultural pot.
Yeah.
Some people like that. Me personally, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I like to look, and I'm not against immigration either. I
Yeah.
think there's a way to do immigration where
Totally.
it works. It
Yes.
works. You do it on points-based
Make
system.
somebody work.
Right.
There you go.
But I also think that for asylum claims as well, I think it's important
Yes.
to
Yeah, totally.
help people and who are genuinely seeking asylum.
Yeah.
But the people that are coming in, like they're trying to stop all the dinghies and stuff.
Yeah.
I did a video on that, and and my channel got 1 week strike. I couldn't post for a week
Wow.
because I did a really deep dive into it, and I traced the money all the way back.
Wow.
And what was happening was those men are not. It's organized crime.
Yeah.
So they pay between €3,000 and €8,000 to get on that boat. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah. It's similar
Okay.
to like coyotes in
Right.
Mexico. Yeah.
So you got to ask, where on earth does someone get 3,000 to
Where is the
8,000?
funding?
Yeah. So there's a lot going. There's a lot going on, and people want a better life. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. But there's got to be things are going to be managed. Otherwise, we end up like the Roman Empire. At what happened with the Roman Empire, it collapsed, and that was no good for anyone. We had the Dark Ages for a very long period of time.
Yeah.
So I do think we're moving towards some very dire times, and that's why I left the UK, moved to the Isle of Man, got set up. But I also have a plan B and a plan C.
Yep.
You know, the Isle of Man isn't just that's it.
Oh, no, we were talking about that. That was good.
Yeah, I've got a plan B, plan C as well, because you just never know with any of this stuff where it's going.
Yep.
And I know exactly where the countries that I'm going to. I know exactly where.
Oh, I
I'm
know.
going.
We've talked about it.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, I've been talking about it as well too.
Yeah.
It's not about what city you're going to run to. It's about what country, because there's never in the history of the world has ever been everyone agreeing on something. So there'll always be a place for refuge, a place to shelter and stuff. But with that being said, there's going to be opportunities as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
You got it.
All right. With that being said, everyone, the Economic Ninja and Neil McCoy Ward are out.